إن الحمد لله تعالى نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها فإن كل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. I will start by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask for His assistance and ask for His guidance. Whomsoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide, no one can lead the individual astray. Whosoever choose His guidance, or whomsoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decree that individual will be misguided because he does not want guidance or she does not want guidance, no one can guide that individual. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send His blessing upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, on his household, on the Sahabas, the companions, and those who follow their path until the last day. The topic of the discussion is, why is it prohibited to participate in non-Muslim celebrations? Why is it haram for us Muslims to participate in the festival and feast of the non-Muslims? Before we answer the question, we have to note that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created us, and the purpose of the creation is to worship Him. In Surah Zariyat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. The scholars stated that if you look at the verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He negated for all purposes of creation. For mankind and jinnkind, they are not created for any purpose. Anything that you think probably is the reason why we are created, Allah negate everything. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ. Then He affirmed only one purpose of creation, إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. And the scholars will tell you, when you have negation and affirmation in a statement, what it shows is that that thing is exclusive. It's for only that. Meaning we are created for nothing but to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set limits which He warned us not to transgress. And He has gave us commandments which we must fulfill. And He has commanded some prohibitions which we must stay away from. In the Qur'an, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, these are my limits. Whosoever transgress beyond my limits, he has wronged himself. وَتِلْكَ حُدُودُ اللَّهِ وَمَنْ يَتَعَدَّ حُدُودَ اللَّهِ فَقَدْ ظَلَمَ نَفْسَهُ. And if you go to Surah Nisa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَنْ يَعْصِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ وَيَتَعَدَّ حُدُودَهُ يُدْخِلْهُ نَارًا. Whosoever disobeyed the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and transgress beyond the set limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that individual will go to hell. So as Muslims, we should be aware of the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we protect them. We don't go beyond the boundaries set by Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we talk about the celebrations of non-Muslims, then there are many of them. But we will briefly go through that which is relevant to us, considering the time we are in. And that has to do with the Christmas celebration and the New Year celebration. Of course, the ruling, the Islamic ruling, will be general. It will include all other celebrations which has nothing to do with Islam. When we talk about the Christmas celebration, then first we have to define what does the word Christmas means. The word Christmas, according to the author of Encyclopedia Britannica, that the word Christmas is derived from two words, meaning two words are joined together to form this one word called Christmas. Those two words are Christ and Mass. While Sexidad was talking about understanding Christianity, he defined the term Christ. He said it is from the Greek word Christos, which in Hebrew means Messiah, in Arabic it means Masih. And when we said Masih, we are referring to Isa ibn Maryam, whom the English people call him Jesus, alayhi salam. And Mass, M-A-S-S, Mass, it means celebration. It means festival. So when you join the two words, Christmas, it means the Mass of Christ. Because we talk about Christ, Mass means festival, Christ means Jesus. So Christmas would mean the Mass of Christ. That is the festival of Jesus. What is intended there is to celebrate the birth of Isa ibn Maryam. When we say Christmas, we are referring to the festival of Christ. What is intended by that, according to the Christians, is they are celebrating the birthday of Isa ibn Maryam, alayhi salatu wassalam. According to the Christians, this birthday of Christ, Isa ibn Maryam, that they are celebrating, they are holding that celebration on the 25th of December. So every year, 25th of December, Christians will celebrate Christmas. What is intended by that, like I said, is to celebrate the birth of Isa ibn Maryam. Now when we go through the origin, we try to understand the origin of this celebration, Christmas. Where does it come from? Is it a celebration that is approved by the scriptures? Then we are going to realize that if you read the Bible, and when you read the Qur'an, it becomes explicit that Isa ibn Maryam, whose birthday is celebrated on the 25th of December, called Christmas, is not even born on the 25th of December. He is not even born in winter. When we say winter, that is the cold season in the northern hemisphere. We are referring to December, or November, December, January, and February. It is a cold season in the northern hemisphere. Like now we are in December, the places are cold. If you move further to the north, it is cooler. So we said from the Bible it is clear that Isa ibn Maryam is not born on the 25th of December. From the Quran, it's also clear that Isa is not even born in winter. First from the Bible. Sexidad, in the beginning, he talks about the Bible. He talks about the corruption in the Bible. If you look at the Bible, What it means is you have different books, many books put together in one, also divided broadly into two. You have the Old Testament and the New Testament. The Old Testament came before Jesus. Then the New Testament, you have the 4 books which are called the Gospel: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Out of these 4 books, it's only Matthew and Luke who discuss the birth of Isa ibn Maryam. Matthew talked about it very briefly. Luke discussed in chapter 1 or in chapter 2 from verse 1 to 21 the birth of Isa ibn Maryam. Now when you analyze those verses, even Christian scholars, they analyze those verses mentioned in Luke from verse 1 to verse 11. Just to summarize, from verse 1, according to the Bible, Luke is telling us that at that time the emperor of Rome, called Caesar Augustus, he gave an order, a decree, that there should be a census in the land of Rome. Everyone should be counted. There should be a census in the kingdom. Then what happened? According to the Bible, Joseph, when we said Joseph, the Christians are telling us, or the Bible is telling us, that Joseph is an individual whom Maryam, they call Mary, was pledged to marry. Mary was pledged to marry Joseph. But what happened before the marriage was consummated? Mary was pregnant. Matthew is telling us that Joseph is an individual who is righteous and does not want to humiliate or shame her publicly by divorcing her publicly. So he intended to divorce her in secret. But there was a revelation according to the Bible. These are things, of course, we don't believe. But the Bible said, see, the angel informed Joseph not to divorce her, that the child she is carrying is actually Isa ibn Maryam, who was given to her by God, and she is not guilty of any form of adultery. So what we are actually looking at in this verse, according to the Gospel of Matthew chapter 2, Joseph traveled to Bethlehem, which is found in Jerusalem, with the woman that was pledged to be married to him, that is Maryam, while she was conceived, while she was pregnant. So they traveled to Bethlehem, that is their hometown, because Joseph, according to the Bible, is from the lineage of David, who is Dawood, alayhi salam. Originally from Bethlehem, so they traveled to their hometown so that they can be censored, so that they can be part of the census which was ordered by the emperor of the time, or the king of the time. So what we are looking at from these verses in the Bible is that when Joseph traveled to Bethlehem, while they were there, then Isa ibn Maryam was born. And in verse 8, Gospel of Luke chapter 2 verse 8, Luke told us that at the time in Jerusalem, there are shepherds who are watching over their sheep in the field at night, and an angel appeared to them and conveyed to them a good news of the birth of Isa ibn Maryam. Now, what Bible scholars are looking at in this verse when they analyze it is that you have people or shepherds watching over their sheep in the field in the open at night. Then they argue that it is not possible for, if that is the time, because the Bible said when Isa was born, an angel appeared to these people who are living in the area of Jerusalem, the shepherds who are living there, rearing or watching over their flocks in the sheep in the field. Then the angel appeared to them and informed them of the birth of Isa ibn Maryam. Now the question is, how is it possible for shepherds to watch over their flocks in the field, in the open at night, in winter? The answer is no. That is why the Bible commentator Adam Clark, he said it is part of the tradition of the Jews to send their flocks to the field at the beginning of spring, which is in April, before winter begins, which is around October to November. Because when winter begins, the northern hemisphere is very cold. Jerusalem, in fact, will experience snow at the time. So it is both natural that an individual cannot stay outside at night because the place is extremely cold. So the tradition of the Jews, according to Adam Clark, the commentator of the Bible, he said the tradition of the Jews is that they send their flock to the field from April to October. Then November, December is very cold. They will send their flocks to the house, and then they will be in the house. They are not found outside during winter because the place is extremely cold. That is why Jimmy Swaggart, in his book, The Expositor's Study of the Bible, page 1761, he said, he was commenting on this verse 8 of chapter 2, Gospel of Luke. He said, then this proves that Jesus was not born on the 25th of December. Because the Bible is telling us when he was born, the shepherds were informed of his birth while they were staying outside at night, watching over their sheep. It is impossible for people to be living outside in winter, in fact, when the places are extremely cold. So explicitly from this verse, it is clear that Isa ibn Maryam was not born in winter. Forget about December. He was not even born in winter, meaning he is not born anywhere between November, December, January, and February. So 25th of December is completely out of the equation. Now when we read the Qur'an, because the Bible is clear, when we go to the Qur'an, we will also learn that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs us of the birth of Isa ibn Maryam. If you study the verses, then what it indicates is that Isa ibn Maryam was not born in winter. In the Quran, in Surah Maryam, Surah 19, verse 23, فَأَجَاءَهَا الْمَخَاضُ إِلَى جِذْعِ النَّخْلَةِ قَالَتْ يَا لَيْتَنِي مِتُّ قَبْلَ هَذَا وَكُنْتُ نَسْيًا مَنْسِيًّا فَأَجَاءَهَا الْمَخَاضُ إِلَى جِذْعِ النَّخْلَةِ. When the labor pain comes, that pain pushes Maryam alayhi salam to the trunk of a palm tree. Palm trees are, of course, in the field. The question now we ask is during winter, December 25th, midwinter, when the places are extremely cold, how is it possible for Maryam alayhi salam to be there at the trunk of a palm tree in the open? In Jerusalem, of course, we know sometimes there will be snowfall. How is that possible? That is impossible. That is verse 1. Verse 23. Go to verse 24. فَنَادَاهَا مِنْ تَحْتِهَا أَلَّا تَحْزَنِي قَدْ جَعَلَ رَبُّكِ تَحْتَكِ صَرِيًّا فَنَادَاهَا مِنْ تَحْتِهَا أَلَّا تَحْزَنِي. Then there was a call from beneath. The scholars of Tafsir said it is the child who was talking, or it was Jibril. But there was a call from beneath, and that call is what? Do not fear and do not feel grief. Do not be sad. قَدْ جَعَلَ رَبُّكِ تَحْتَكِ صَرِيًّا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created or has made a small river to flow beneath you. And the scholars stated that Sariya, the word Sariya, it means a small river, and that river, the water is cold. The water is what? Is cold. Then we ask the Christians again, from the Quran we learn, in winter people don't drink cold water. Naturally, people during winter when it is extremely cold, people don't add coldness to that. They don't drink cold water. And they don't take care of themselves with cold water. So Sariya, the scholar said it is a river which is cold. So we know that this cannot be in winter in Jerusalem. فَأَجَاهَا الْمَخَاضُ إِلَى جِذْعِ النَّخْلَةِ. Or if you go to verse 26, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed Maryam to shoot the trunk of the palm tree. And what happened? Right dates fall. She was instructed to shook the trunk of a palm tree, and from there ripe date fall. If you go back again, these trees, they have their season. Are we in the mango season? Again, dates, they have their season. If you go to Jerusalem, just go inside. The season of dates is from August to September. December is not one of the seasons of dates. So from these verses, it is clear that Isa ibn Maryam was not born in December and was not even born in winter. Then where does this 25th of December comes as a day of celebration for the birth of Isa ibn Maryam? If you go further again, then you try to study where does this thing comes from. If you go and read the Encyclopedia Britannica, Encyclopedia Americana, the Catholic Encyclopedia, all of them are explicitly clear that Christmas is not one of the early feasts of the church. In Encyclopedia Americana, in fact, they stated that Christmas only comes to Christianity in the 4th century. And it was popular, widespread in the 5th century. If you want to understand what we are saying, is that when Isa alayhi salam was taken up alive to the heaven, 400 years afterwards, that's the time Christianity embraced this thing called Christmas. Meaning for 400 years there was nothing called Christmas in Christianity. In fact, if you read the encyclopedia, the Catholic Encyclopedia, there is a father in the Christian church called Origen of Alexandria who is popular. He lives around 185 to 254 CE. That is after Isa alayhi salam was taken to the heaven. He was not killed. That is our belief. So this father, Origen, at the time, in fact, there was nothing called there was nothing called Christmas. While the authors of the Catholic Encyclopedia, they were commenting on the day called the Natal Day. Natal Day, it means the birthdays. Then this Christian father, Origen, he said, in fact, celebrating birthday is not something that is known to be from the practice of the righteous. It's only sinners who celebrate on the day that they were born. So it becomes clear that birthday celebration has nothing, in fact, to do with Christianity, much more to talk about celebrating the birthday of Isa ibn Maryam. So where does it come from? Then, if you go back again and read, you will realize that the history of Christmas, where it comes from, is that this day, 25th of December, was a celebration which was observed by the Romans, the pagan Romans, way before Isa ibn Maryam came. Hundreds of years before Isa ibn Maryam came, they had a celebration, and that celebration they are celebrating the birth of the sun god called Sol. The birth of the sun god called Sol was celebrated on the 25th of December. Why was the sun god celebrated on the 25th of December? You know, the Romans, they have God for everything. Almost they have God for everything. They have God for the sun, and that God is called Sol. Now, when you read, if you understand the movement of the earth, and you understand the seasons, then you will realize that from the 22nd of December, 22nd of December is an equinox, not so? From the 22nd of December to October, December, 22nd of September, 22nd of September, October, November, December, the days are getting shorter. That is called winter. The days are getting shorter and the night is getting what? Longer in the northern hemisphere. The story is different in the southern hemisphere, but in the northern hemisphere, from September, October, November, December, January, February, the days are getting shorter and the night is getting longer. Now these people, the Romans, they are observing that the days are getting shorter. They thought that the sun is about to extinct, not to exist. Because if the trend continues, then the sun will never exist again. Things are getting smaller, the days are getting shorter. They are worried. Then there was a turning point. And that turning point is called winter solstice. We learn in geography. It is on the 21st of December. That is the day where we observe the longest night and the shortest day. After the winter solstice on the 21st of December, what happened? The days begin to get longer now. So they are happy that the sun god is born on that day. And they hold a celebration on the 21st of December, winter solstice. That is what in fact is written on your geography syllabus. Then why 25th? What happened? 25 years before Isa ibn Maryam was born, there was a king called Julius Caesar. He came and he changed the calendar of the Romans. It was a Roman Empire. He changed the calendar. He introduced leap year. So we'll briefly talk about that when we talk about New Year. He changed the calendar and he introduced leap year. And he decided to shift some of their celebrations. One of the days he shifted is winter solstice. He shifted it from the 21st of December to the 25th of December. This was 45 years BC, before Isa ibn Maryam. Some books will say 46. So they are celebrating it on the 25th. That was even before Jesus, before Isa ibn Maryam. Now when the Roman pagans accepted Christianity, they had love celebrations and they love to celebrate birthdays. It's from their culture and it's from their religion. So when they accepted Christianity, they amalgamated paganism with Christianity. The section about that, how Christianity got corrupted. So they want to celebrate the birth of Isa ibn Maryam. But unfortunately, that is not written anywhere in the Bible. It's not recorded. Similar to, that is called innovation. So it now becomes what? An innovation in Christianity. If actually Jesus was upon Christianity. But that is an argument different. Again, Jesus is not a Christian. But they innovated it. Because when the Romans accepted Christianity, so they want to celebrate the birthday of Isa ibn Maryam. They did not find any record of his birthday. They said, okay, no problem. Let us hold it on the day we are doing our other celebration. The day we are celebrating the birth of sun god, Sol. Let's hold the same celebration on that day. Now we are holding Christmas on the 25th of December. Who said that? Encyclopedia Americana. The 1944 edition. Now we clearly know that this has nothing to do with Christianity. And of course it has nothing to do with Islam. It is a pagan practice. They are actually celebrating the birth of their sun god, Sol, on that day, 25th of December. When they accepted Christianity, they want to celebrate the birth of Isa, and then they have no record of it, so they make it also the same day as the day that they are used to celebrate in paganism. That is the birth of their sun god on the 25th. Julius Caesar moved it to 25th, and they don't change it. So that is the origin of Christianity. We will talk about why is it prohibited in Islam. Now briefly, let's talk about New Year. New Year, when do we observe it? On the 1st of January. Again, how does it come to the 1st of January? Before it was not. Before New Year was celebrated in spring equinox, which is 22nd or 21st of March. You know the Roman calendar? The Roman Empire was built by an emperor called Romulus. He created a calendar for the Romans. The calendar has how many months? 10 months. 304 days. But that calendar has no problems. Because of course what will happen is that the earth will not complete one revolution, then the calendar will finish. So the seasons will keep on shifting. Numan Populus came and he changed the calendar. He introduced 2 more months. He created 2 months. That was 700 years before Isa. He created 2 months, and those 2 months were January and February. So in order to appreciate the reason why in fact you are having those problems, like people talked about, when you talk about September, Septem in Latin it means 7. October means what? Octa. Octa means 8. November, Nuna, it means 9. Deca, December, it means 10. Because January, when March is the first month, when you start counting, then you will see that September comes 7. October will come 8. November will come 9. December will come 10. But when Numan Pompilius created 2 months, he put them in the beginning. That changes and then shifted. September from 7 to where? To 9. 7 plus 2, 9. October from where? 8. 8 plus 2. Today is the 10th month. November from 9. November, Nuna is 9. 9 plus 2, 11. It becomes 11th month. December, Deca 10 plus 2, now it becomes the 12th month. Now when he created these 2 months, February, March, January and February. January, where is it from? Janus. Janus, like I said, Romans, they have God for many things. Janus is a god, they call him the god of all beginnings. The god of what? All beginnings. It is a god that they create. If you see the picture of that, then it has how many faces? 2 faces. 1 face backward. They said it's looking into the past. Another face forward, looking into the future. So Numan Pompilius think that, okay, then this will be befitting to have January as the beginning of the year. Because it is named after a God of all beginnings. That God that can look into the past and can see the future. And he changes and makes the first day of January as the beginning of the year, called the new year. They are celebrating that Janus God. So it is clearly an idol worship. Now if you understand that calendar we are using, this calendar we are using is called what? Gregorian calendar. It's called what? It's named after who? A pope. Pope Gregory, the 13th. He created this calendar now we are using. You know there was a Julian calendar named after Julius Caesar. We talk about it 45 BC. He created a calendar. That calendar has a problem. He introduces leap year, but he is telling us from there, they calculated, they said, okay, the earth complete 1 revolution in every what? 365 and quarter days. Quarter days means 6 hours. If you multiply 6 hours by 4, you get 24, not so? So that is why they created another year every leap year. They created 1 day, They created 1 day every leap year. That is every 4 years, 1 day is created and is added to where? February. But that one also is a problem. Because the scientists are telling us that the earth does not complete 1 revolution in 365 and quarter days. It's less than a quarter. It's less than 6 hours. They told us the earth complete 1 revolution in every 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, 45.25 seconds. This is some calculation. And you are going to appreciate that calculation. The reason, if you look at Pope Gregory, the calculation that he made, in order to appreciate the calendar, you see, he now came up with another formula. Because what was happening? If you calculate this thing, it is less than quarter, it's less than 6 hours by what? If you calculate, it's less than 6 hours by 11 minutes, 11 minutes, then of course, that will be 12 seconds, 12.75 seconds. 11 minutes, 12.75 seconds. Meaning, there will be an allowance of 11 minutes, 12.75 seconds. Then what that is going to create in the calendar, if you understand the calendar, is if you multiply that by 128, every 128, the calendar will be short by 1 day. Meaning, the seasons will come 1 day before and the date will be ahead. That is why in 1582, Pope Gregory shows that, because in 1532, this thing accumulate from 45 BC to 1582. How many years? You are talking about over 106, almost 1,600 years. And this thing accumulate to almost about 15 to 14 days difference in the calendar. That is why he revised the calendar in 1582. And the calendar, that's what we are using now. We call it Gregorian calendar. So that their seasons will be adjusted, their celebrations will fall in their seasons. And when he created the calendar, he made a difference. The difference now between the Julian calendar and the Gregorian calendar is that, you see, they don't make, there are some leap year, they don't make it a leap year. A leap year or a century, after every century, any century that is divisible by 400 is made a leap year. But if it is not divisible by 400, it's not a leap year. 1600 was a leap year. Year 2000 was a leap year. But look at it, 1700, 1800, 1900 are not leap year. And they are all divisible by 4. Those are calculations that we don't want to intend to go into those things. But if you look at them, you appreciate. And there are other calculations down there. Then the scientists today will tell us that this calendar that we are using, again, if they make another leap year that is divisible by 4,000, if a leap year is divisible by 4,000, you don't make it a leap year, then this calendar will remain intact for 20,000 years. After which the calendar has to be revised again. Now let's come back to Qur'an. Why is this prohibited? We talked about the brief history of this calendar, how these things come about. Now, why is this prohibited to participate in these celebrations? The reason why it is prohibited, if you read the Qur'an, you will realize that the evidences there are many. But for the purpose of understanding, I will divide evidences into 3. Into what? 3. Just want you to understand. The evidence is divided into 3. The first one, we will look at the evidence. Why is it prohibited? Because of tashabbuh, imitation. 2, the asli, the origin. And 3, Eid. Understand? Why is this prohibited in Islam? The reasons were, the evidence is from the Quran and from the Sunnah. We divide it into how many categories? 3. Number 1, at-tashabbuh, that is imitation. Number 2, origin, asli, its origin. And number 3, Eid. We will talk about the concept of Eid in Islam. Number 1, at-tashabbuh, the evidences can also be divided into 2. There are evidences which are general. And you have evidences which are specific. The evidences which are from the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us what in the Quran? Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal lazina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. In Surah Fatiha. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Guide us to the straight path. Siratal lazina an'amta alayhim. The path of those whom you have favored. Who are those people? The believers. وَمَنْ يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِم مِّنَ النَّبِيِّينَ وَالصِّدِّيقِينَ وَالشُّهَدَاءِ وَالصَّالِحِينَ وَحَسُنَ أُولَٰئِكَ رَفِيقًا. Those are the people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala favored. We are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us to the straight path. The path of those whom He had favored. Who are those people? The believers generally. غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ. Not the part of those whom earn your anger. Who are the people who earn the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The Jews. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in the hadith of Adi ibn Hatim, mentioned in Sunnah Tirmizi, hadith 2956 or 2954, hadith 2954. It's found in Sunnah Tirmizi. If you go to Tafsir ibn Kasir, he was making tafsir of this ayah, غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, these are the Jews. Why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala angry with the Jews? Because these are individuals who have the knowledge, but they refuse to act upon the knowledge. وَلَضَّالِّينَ are not the part of those who went astray. Who went astray? The Christians. Why did they go astray? Because they are doing actions, they are doing ibadah, which is not based on knowledge. That is why if you go to the church, you have what? You have drums and they are dancing, they say they are worshipping. Based on jahal. Now in this verse, how is this verse an evidence of imitation tashabbuh? Because we are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from the part of the Jews and the Christians. And we are asking Him to guide us to the part of who? The believers. How can you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 17 times? Minimum every day. Guide us to the straight path, not the part of the Jews, not the part of the Christians, and you are still following them. That is an evidence that we should not follow them. We should not imitate them. And joining in their celebration is one of the highest level of imitation. especially in their celebration, which is unique to them. Not only unique to them, part of their religious rituals. If we go back again to the Qur'an, we are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us to the path of the believers. Not so? Now go and read Surah Nisa, verse 115. وَمَنْ يُسَاقِقِ الرَّسُولَ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُ الْهُدَى وَيَتَّبِعَ غَيْرَ سَبِيلِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ نُوَلِّهِ مَا تَوَلَّى وَنُصْلِهِ جَهَنَّمَ وَمَنْ يُسَاقِقِ الرَّسُولَ. As for those who opposes the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُ الْهُدَى, after guidance has come to them, وَيَتَّبِعَ غَيْرَ سَبِيلِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, and they tread a path different from the path of the believers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, نُوَلِّهِ مَا تَوَلَّى, for them is the path that they choose for themselves. وَنُصْلِهِ what? Jahannam. And that path will take them to Jahannam. So what we have learned from this part, from this verse in Surah Nisa, verse 115, we are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving a warning to those who go against the path of the believers and they choose a path different from the path of the believers. For them, he said, is Jahannam. Go to Surah Jasiyah. In Surah Jasiyah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, what, verse 18, Surah 45, verse 18. ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَاكَ عَلَى شَرِيعَةٍ مِنَ الْأَمْرِ فَاتَّبِعْهَا وَلَا تَتَّبِعْ أَهْوَاءَ الَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَاكَ عَلَى شَرِيعَةٍ مِنَ الْأَمْرِ فَاتَّبِعْهَا. He was commanding the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and not only him, but the entire ummah. ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَاكَ, afterwards I have given you shari'atin, a sharia, a path. فَاتَّبِعْهَا, follow that path. وَلَا تَتَّبِعْ أَهْوَاءَ الَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ, and do not follow the desires of those who don't know. In this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shown us that there are only two paths. The path of the believers, that is the path of the sharia, and the path of the desires of those who don't know. Joining the celebrations of the non-Muslims, joining the celebration of Christians and the Jews, joining Christmas celebration, is that a part of the believers? Is that the part of the sharia? Or is it a part of desire? It's part of desire. وَلَا تَتَّبِعْ أَهْوَاءَ الَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Do not follow the path of those who have desires. They don't know. You take about 3 verses. Verse 4. In Surah Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said what? وَلَمْ تَرْضَى أَنْكَ الْيَهُودُ وَلَا النَّصَارَى حَتَّى تَتَّبِعَ مِلَّتَهُمْ قُلْ إِنَّ هُدَى اللَّهِ هُوَ الْهُدَى وَلَئِنِ اتَّبَعْتَ أَهْوَاءَهُمْ بَعْدَ الَّذِي جَاءَكَ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ مَا لَكَ مِنَ اللَّهِ مِنْ وَلِيٍّ وَلَا نَصِيرٍ. وَلَنْ تَرْضَى عَنْكَ الْيَهُودُ وَلَا النَّصَارَى. The Jews and the Christians will never be happy with you. حَتَّى تَتَّبِعَ مِلَّتَهُمْ, until you follow their path, you follow their religion. The Jews and the Christians. Today we are saying what? Join the celebration so that we can live in a coexistence. You know, it's about coexistence, peaceful. We are in the globalization. And then we said, okay, there has to be peaceful coexistence. Peaceful coexistence. These are deceitful slogans. The Jews and the Christians will never be happy with you until you abandon your religion and follow them. That's the time they will be happy. وَلَئِنِ اتَّبَعْتَ أَهْوَاءَهُمْ بَعْدَ الَّذِي جَاءَكَ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ وَلَئِنِ اتَّبَعْتَ أَهْوَاءَهُمْ. If any one of you follow your desires, بعد الذي جاءك من العلم, after knowledge has come, ما لك من الله من ولي ولا نصير. If you come on that day, you will not have anyone who will help you. You will not have anyone who will defend you against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Surah Rad, Surah 13, verse 37, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said what? وَكَذَلِكَ أَنزَلْنَاهُ حُكْمًا عَرَبِيًّا وَلَئِنِ اتَّبَعْتَ أَهْوَاءَهُمْ بَعْدَ مَا جَاءَكَ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ مَا لَكَ مِنَ اللَّهِ مِنْ وَلِيٍّ وَلَا وَاقٍ. وَكَذَلِكَ أَنزَلْنَاهُ حُكْمًا عَرَبِيًّا, and we have revealed a judgment in Arabic. وَلَئِنِ اتَّبَعْتَ أَهْوَاءَهُمْ, and if any one of you follow your desire. You see, we said there are how many parts? There are how many parts? 2 parts. The Sharia and desire. وَلَئِنِ اتَّبَعْتَ أَهْوَاءَهُمْ, if you follow the desire. بَعْدَ مَا جَاءَكَ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ, after knowledge has come. Today knowledge has come. Not even today, knowledge has come. We have known these things from the beginning. مَا لَكَ مِنَ اللَّهِ مِنْ وَلِيٍّ وَلَا وَاقٍ, and you will not find a wali, a protector who will protect you from the azab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wala waq, and you will not find a defender who will defend you from him. Go again in Surah Nisa, Surah 4 verse 89. What do law takfurun? This is what they want. What do law takfuruna kama kafaru fatakununa sawa fala tattakhidhu minhum awliya. They want you to disbelieve, so that like they disbelieve. They want you to be a kafir like them. Fatakununa sawa, so that you will all be equal. Allah SWT said what? فَلَا تَتَّخِذُ مِنْهُمْ أَوْلِيَا. And do not keep them as friends. Do not keep Christians as friends. Do not keep non-Muslims as friends, as allies. In Surah Araf, Surah 7 verse 3, اتَّبِعُوا مَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ مِنْ رَبِّكَ وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا مِنْ دُونِهِ أَوْلِيَاءَ قَلِيلًا مَا تَذَكَّرُونَ. Follow that which has been revealed. What has been revealed? Qur'an and Sunnah. اتَّبِعُوا مَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ مِنْ رَبِّكَ وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا مِنْ دُونِهِ أَوْلِيَاءَ. And do not follow besides this. That is what has been revealed. Do not follow any other bit. Do not follow any other part. Do not take them as awliya. Do not take them as friends. And Allah SWT said in Surah Ma'idah, Surah 5 verse 51, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu la tattakhidhul yahuda wan nasara awliya ba'duhum awliya'u ba'd wa man yatawallakum minkum fa innahu minhum. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, O you who believe, la tattakhidhul yahuda wan nasara awliya. Do not keep the Jews and the Christians as friends, as allies. Ba'duhum awliya'u ba'd. They are friends of one another. وَمَنْ يَتَوَلَّكُمْ مِنْكُمْ فَإِنَّهُ مِنْهُ. Anyone who follows them is one of them. These verses are general verses. Prohibiting what? At-tashabbuh. Prohibiting bil kuffar. At-tashabbuh bil kuffar. These verses are general prohibiting, and you have many of them. If you read the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, in the hadith of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, mentioned by both Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, Sahih Bukhari 7320, Sahih Muslim 26, at his 2696. The Prophet ﷺ said what? In the hadith of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, La tattabi'unna thanana man kana qablakum. You are going to follow them, those who come before me. Sibran bi sibrin, zira'an bi zira'in, hatta law dakalu juhra dabbin tabi'tumuhu. Qulna ya Rasulullah, al-yahuda wal nasara, qala faman. La tattabi'unna. You are going to follow them. As a warning. You are going to follow them. Thanana man kana qablakum. The part of those who come before you. Sibran bi sibrin. Handspan. Meaning whatever they do, you are going to copy them exactly. Hatta law dakalu juhra dabbil. Even when they enter the hole of a lizard, you are going to enter there with them. That is called complete following. Whatever they do, you will do it. And the Sahabas asked, are you referring to the Jews and the Christians? He said, Faman, who else? In the hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar, mentioned in Sunnah Tirmidhi, Sunnah Abu Dawud, hadith 40:31, the Prophet ﷺ said, Man tashabba'a bi qawmin fahuwa minhum. Man tashabba'a bi qawmin fahuwa minhum. Whosoever imitate, whosoever follow, any nation, you are one of them. Shaykh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, he said this hadith, the apparent meaning of the hadith is what? He said it means following them is kufr. That is the apparent meaning. Man tashabba'a bi qawmin fahuwa minhum. The apparent meaning is what? If you follow them and copy them and imitate them, it is what? Kufr. He said the least that we can say about this hadith is that following them is haram. Is kaba'ir. Is a major sin. We talk about the specific evidences. These are all general. Specific evidence. The Prophet ﷺ, Allah SWT said in Surah Furqan. If you read Surah Furqan from verse 63, Allah SWT talks about what? Ibadur Rahman. Not so? Ibadur Rahman, he gave 13 characteristics of the true servants of Allah SWT. 13. The 10th characteristic that he gave was وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَشْهَدُونَ الزُّورَ. The believers are not those who witness zuhr. That is falsehood. Now, what does az-zuhr mean here? The scholars of tafsir, Abdullah ibn Abbas with his students, Mujahid, Ata, they said az-zuhr here, it means the celebration of non-Muslims. And do you know Mujahid? You know Mujahid? Huh? He's one of the students of Ibn Abbas. And do you know Ibn Mujahid? Sufyan al-Thawri. He said, إِذَا جَاءَكَ تَفْسِيرُ مُجَاهِدٍ فَحَسْبُكَ بِهِ. If the tafsir of Mujahid comes to you, it's enough. You don't need to look for any other evidence. You don't need to look for any other tafsir. Because he said he studied the Qur'an, the interpretation of the Qur'an, word for word, 4 times with Ibn Abbas. He said az-zuhr here means what? The celebrations, the feast of non-Muslims. Believers are those who don't witness it. They don't participate in it. And the evidences are many. Now let's quickly go to the remaining 2. We talk about the origin. Now, anything which, if the origin is kufr, is not permissible for you to participate in it. We talk about the origin of New Year and Christmas. The origin, where it comes from. Is it kufr? Or it is righteousness? It's built on righteousness. Is from where? It's from kufr. And look at the Prophet ﷺ. When a man came to him and he said he made a vow, another, that he wants to slaughter a camel in Buwana. This hadith is recorded by Sunnah Tirmizi, Sunnah Nasai, hadith 1553. Abu Dawud also recorded the hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, he asked him 2 questions. He said, during Jahiliyyah, does the idol worshippers keep their idol in that place, Buwana? The man said no. He said, do they make any slaughtering for, or do they hold their celebrations? Do they hold their celebrations in that place called Buwana? The man said no. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, fulfill your vow, fulfill your nadar. The scholar said, Ibn Taymiyyah, he said from this hadith, it means that if the answer was yes, will the Prophet ﷺ grant him to fulfill the vow? And we know that fulfilling vow is compulsory. It's obligatory. If you make a vow, you must fulfill it. Then anything that will prevent you from fulfilling that is sinful. And finally, from the point of the view, or if you look at it from Eid aspect of it, Eid. When you say Eid, it means something that comes repeatedly. It's repeated, either weekly or annually. Just the formula should be very clear to all. The formula is very clear. Anything that is repeated, annually or weekly, is called Eid, and it is ibadah, not part of muamalat. It's part of what? It's part of ibadah. You cannot take it out as a custom. Anything that is Eid, it is ibadah. And if it is not legislated by Sharia, it is haram. It is bid'ah. Look at the Prophet ﷺ. Hadith of who? Anas ibn Malik. He said when the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina, he found the people of Medina, they were holding 2 celebrations in Jahiliyyah. These are part of their custom. And they told the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ said, Inna Allaha kad abdalakum bihima khayran minhuma idul adha wa idul fitr. He said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has changed your 2 celebrations to 2, which is better than them. That is Idul Adha. We are calling that Tobaski. And Idul Fitr, we call it Kurti. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has changed. That means these celebrations are not custom. If it is part of their custom, then the Prophet ﷺ, if Eid is not part of Ibadah, he will allow them to continue. But the reason why he stopped them from doing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has changed this to these 2, that is Idul Fitr and Idul Adha, is that Eid is part of the deen. And in Islam, only 2 Eid are legislated. That is what? Idul Fitr and Idul Adha. That is why in the hadith of Aisha, recorded in Sahih Bukhari, hadith 954, the Prophet ﷺ found Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, he said he found people, girls, singing in the house of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, praising the Ansar. Then when he came, he rebuked them and asked them to stop. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Abu Bakr, Ya Abu Bakr, inna kulli qawmin idan wa haza iduna. Every ummah have their Eid, they have their celebrations, they have their feast. Wa haza iduna, and this is our own celebration. Our own celebration is what? Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. That's all. Any celebration that comes weekly, annually, celebration, if it is not part of these three or these two, Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, and Yawmul Jum'ah, which other scholars consider it as a Eid for every week, it is bid'ah and it is not permissible for you to follow. Independence celebration, the same. It is Eid and it is haram. And think of it, any other celebration that comes annually, either on a particular date or day, and is repeated, is haram. So with that, I will conclude and warn with this warning from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma. He said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Abghadun nasi ila Allah thalathun." The people who are most hated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are three. Al-mulhiduna fil haram, that is an individual who does an evil deed in the haram. Wa yabtaghi fil islami sunnatan jahiliyyah, and an individual who desire to bring into Islam the practice of jahiliyyah, that is the kufr festival, tradition and practices which were there before Islam. You want to bring that to Islam. And I told you, Eid is what? Part of Islam. It's part of what? Islam. It's not mu'amalat. It's not customary. It's not a custom. It is part of the deen. So birthday celebrations, the scholar said, is part of this. So if one celebrates his birthday or the birthday of any other individual, you are putting yourself in a situation where you will be among those who are most hated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the third one he mentioned is someone who kills. So look at even the sins that I mentioned with this. Killing an innocent soul without any just reason, and doing an evil deed in the haram, in Makkah, in Kaaba. You know, that is not a light issue, not so? These issues are mentioned along with those three. Subhanallah wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
Alhamdulillah.